My child, stop for a moment. I am speaking to you with a seriousness that comes from love, not fear. This is not an ordinary moment, and I don't want you to pass it by without listening. I'm not raising my voice to frighten you. I'm drawing close because what I want to share matters deeply. Love does not stay silent when truth can protect someone it cares about. Ignoring truth rarely brings sudden loss. More often, it brings quiet loss. Peace fades, clarity weakens, and the heart slowly grows tired without even noticing why. That is why I am speaking now, not to control you, not to pressure you, but because you matter. I know this world often chooses comfort over honesty. It tells you to keep moving, stay busy, and avoid anything that feels uncomfortable. But comfort is not always peace, and silence is not always safety. Sometimes the greatest danger is not what happens loudly, but what slowly takes root while no one is paying attention. My child, this message is personal. It is not about judgment. It is about direction. What you choose to do with truth shapes the road ahead. Small decisions today can prevent greater struggles tomorrow. Please don't tell yourself you'll come back later. Later often becomes another delay, and delay quietly steals opportunities that are meant to bring growth. I'm speaking now because your heart is open enough to receive this with wisdom instead of fear. My love for you has never changed. Even in this serious moment, my heart remains steady. Love sometimes comforts, and sometimes love speaks plainly because what is precious is worth protecting. Stay with me for a little longer. Let the noise fade. Open your heart, because what comes next is not meant to burden you. It is meant to lead you toward greater clarity, deeper peace, and a stronger future. My child, I want you to understand why truth sometimes feels difficult to hear. Truth is not dangerous because it is harsh. It feels difficult because it has the power to change direction. Many people learn to survive instead of truly living. They build routines around disappointment, carry burdens they no longer question, and call it normal simply because it has lasted so long. But you were never created just to survive. You were created to live with purpose, peace, and hope. That is why truth often interrupts comfort. Comfort says, keep going. Everything is fine. Truth gently asks, is this really the life you were meant to live? I do not speak these words to expose your weaknesses. I speak them because I want to protect your future. Silence may feel easier for a moment, but silence can quietly allow confusion to grow, wounds to remain hidden, and distance to become familiar. Over time, what once felt temporary begins to feel permanent. That is why I refuse to remain silent with you. Not because I want to disturb your peace, but because I want to restore it. Real peace is built on honesty, not avoidance. My child, I know change feels uncomfortable. I know you've carried heavy burdens for a long time. But the greatest danger is not the burden itself. It is believing you must carry it forever. Truth invites you to put that weight down. It invites you to stop settling for a life driven only by routine and fear. This moment is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you. Because awareness creates clarity. Clarity gives direction. And direction changes the future. Stay with me. There is something even more important I need you to understand about the choices you make from this moment forward.
My child, I want to show you what happens when truth is ignored for too long. Not because I want to frighten you, but because I want to protect you. Ignoring truth rarely causes life to fall apart overnight. Instead, it creates a quiet drift. You continue moving, working, and surviving, yet something inside begins to feel heavier. Peace becomes harder to find. Decisions become more confusing. The voice of fear slowly grows louder than the voice of hope. This is not because I have moved away from you. It is because the heart becomes less sensitive when it repeatedly chooses avoidance over honesty. Every time you postpone what you already know is true, the next step becomes a little harder. Not impossible, just heavier. You begin to accept burdens that were never meant to stay on your shoulders. You start believing exhaustion is normal, confusion is permanent, and simply getting through the day is enough. But my child, I created you for more than survival. I created you to walk in peace, wisdom, and purpose. That is why I am speaking now, not to condemn you for yesterday, but to help you choose differently today. Consequences are not the same as punishment. Punishment is meant to hurt. Consequences simply reveal where a path is leading. If you continue ignoring what your heart already knows, the same lessons will keep returning until they are finally understood. But you don't have to stay in that cycle. One honest response today can change tomorrow's direction. One moment of humility can begin restoring the clarity you've been searching for. My child, this is not about perfection. It is about willingness. Be willing to listen. Be willing to grow. Be willing to let truth guide you instead of fear. Because what I want to share next will help you understand why I waited until now to speak so clearly. My child, there is a reason I did not speak this truth to you sooner. It was never because I forgot you. It was because I love you enough to wait for the right moment. Truth given before the heart is ready can feel like pressure instead of healing. It can create fear instead of freedom. That is why I watched patiently as you grew through every season. While you thought nothing was changing, I was preparing you. Every challenge strengthened your heart. Every disappointment taught you endurance. Every unanswered question created space for deeper wisdom. You may have wished I had made everything clear much earlier, but clarity without readiness often becomes a burden instead of a blessing. So I waited, not in silence without purpose, but in patient love. Even when you couldn't see me working, I was protecting you from paths that would have brought greater pain. I was closing doors you weren't ready to walk through and preparing opportunities you couldn't yet understand. My waiting was never abandonment. It was preparation. There was a version of you that would have heard these words with fear. But today, your heart has grown stronger. You have lived enough to understand that love sometimes corrects, patience sometimes protects, and waiting is not always wasted. That is why I am speaking now, not to overwhelm you, but because you are finally ready to receive this truth with wisdom instead of resistance. Trust the timing of this moment. Nothing important has been lost. The seasons of waiting were shaping the person you are becoming today. And now the truth can take root, bringing peace instead of pressure and hope instead of confusion. Stay with me a little longer. There is one final truth I need you to understand about the cost of ignoring what your heart already knows. My child, I want you to understand the cost of ignoring what your heart already knows. This is not about discovering new truth. It is about responding to the truth you have quietly sensed for a long time. There have been moments when you felt a gentle conviction, a quiet reminder, or an inner knowing that something needed your attention. Yet you told yourself, later, not because you didn't care, but because facing it felt harder than avoiding it. I understand that. I am not here to shame you. I am here to free you. When truth is ignored, an unseen conflict begins inside the heart. One part of you longs for peace, while another continues to avoid what needs to change. Over time, that conflict becomes exhausting. You feel restless without knowing why. You search for peace, yet it always seems just out of reach. Not because I have moved away, but because peace grows where honesty lives. When honesty is delayed, clarity is delayed with it. You begin to question yourself more than before. Simple decisions become difficult. The direction that once felt clear becomes clouded by hesitation and fear. My child, I never wanted you to carry that weight alone. That is why I am inviting you to stop resisting what you already know. Don't waste your strength fighting the truth that was sent to set you free. Bring your fears into the light. Bring your questions to me. Bring your heart as it is. You do not need perfect answers before taking the next step. You only need a willing heart. The moment you choose honesty over avoidance, something begins to change. Peace returns. Clarity grows. Hope rises again. And what once felt impossible becomes the beginning of a new direction. Stay with me. One final truth remains, and it may be the most important part of this entire message.
My child, as this message comes to an end, I want you to carry one truth with you wherever you go. You're not reading these words because your story is ending. You are reading them because a new chapter is beginning. Do not allow fear to decide what your future will look like. Do not let yesterday's disappointments convince you that tomorrow cannot be different. Every sunrise is a reminder that new beginnings are possible. Every breath is another opportunity to choose hope instead of fear. I have never expected you to be perfect. I have only asked you to keep your heart open, to keep learning, and to keep taking one faithful step at a time. The road ahead may still have challenges, but it also holds opportunities you cannot yet imagine. Walk forward with confidence, not because you know every answer, but because you know you do not have to face the journey alone. When you feel uncertain, choose peace. When you feel discouraged, remember how far you have already come. When you feel weak, remember that growth often happens quietly before it becomes visible. Do not rush your journey. Do not compare your path with anyone else's. Your life has a purpose that cannot be measured by someone else's timeline. Keep your eyes on what is good. Keep your heart filled with gratitude. Keep choosing love, truth, and compassion in every season. One day you will look back and realize that this moment was not just another message. It was a reminder to trust, to hope, and to keep moving forward. If these words have encouraged your heart today, take a quiet moment to pray and reflect. Write Amen in the comments if you choose to trust God's timing and continue your journey with faith. May God bless you, give you wisdom, and fill your heart with peace today and always. Red Heart Folded Hands.